Stefano,
how long is the show?
I can get the fuck out of here.
No, just curious.
20 minutes, 25 minutes.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
I hope you got that one. That was good.
Yeah. She's like, so how long is this? You guys gonna keep fucking around? Number one, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Time constraints.
Alright. You ready?
Let's do it.
Alright. Yo! What's up, guys? My name is Chris Tutela, alongside my good friend, colleague, creepy co-host,
Ruben Borges.
And today we have a special guest on the show.
Stefano Siano.
Stefano Siano. And welcome to episode number 41 of TTS Talk. Steph, thank you so much for coming on, my brother. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Don't leave Ruben hanging over there.
Please, no embarrassment.
So dude, well, first off, let's start from where you and I met. So we met at Muay Thai, right, over in Woodbridge. Shout out to Driven Gym. And you've been doing that for how
long? Well, I've been with Driven consistently now back a year. I trained with them briefly when they first opened for about 6 months.
Okay.
And then I had stopped. I became a father. So kind of all of my fitness goals and aspirations kind of became went to the sideline as I put all my effort into acquiring funds, you know, to stack up as much money as possible for the newborns.
Sure, you had a new responsibility there.
Yeah.
So, so you started doing Muay Thai, and then when you got back, right? And that's where you and I met. And you were kind of on some type. It was like a new journey for you at that point for a couple reasons, right? Which we could get into if you want. And then you started training here about what, 5 months ago, something like that.
We're going on 5 months.
Going on 5 months. Okay. So why don't you talk to us a little bit about, you know, what that whole process was like for you and what really got you into this whole fitness journey that you've been talking about, that you've been on for quite some time now.
Okay. Well, it goes back years. I boxed when I was a kid. I grew up in a real rough neighborhood. So I had no brothers, no sisters, anything. Only older sisters. So I would constantly find myself in these situations, and then I'd run up to the boxing gym up on 9th Street, you know, learn how to throw a cross.
Where did you grow up?
In Jersey City.
Jersey City, okay.
Yeah, back in the era, you know, late 90s, early 2000s.
Okay.
When it wasn't gentrified yet. When it was much worse, when Jersey City was like Jersey City.
Yeah.
So, you know, I never played any other sports throughout high school, no team sports, anything like that, and kind of just had that prior boxing experiences, and then you know, fast forward, a big part of my story is drug and alcohol addiction. You know, so I ripped and ran through my entire teenage years and my early 20s, constantly looking for like money and all these external validations as a source of happiness.
Right.
And then I, you know, snowballed into recovery at the age of 26. Now, that was 4 years ago.
So that was from the time you were a teenager up until you were 26?
Correct.
Okay, and so was that like, were you completely hooked on drugs, or was this, were you just kind of partying? Like, what did that look like for you?
I was completely into the entire lifestyle.
Okay.
So everyone who I hung out with was a degenerate. You know what I mean? For, you know, lack of a better term. Most of the people who I've spent time with are either dead, in jail, or you know, stuck in that vicious cycle of a lifestyle.
Right.
So, you know, physical needs, physical fitness goals and everything like that, you know, were not even a thought. You know, let alone doing something correctly.
Right.
So what happened was I ended up, long story short, ripping and running, selling drugs, doing drugs, working 2-3 jobs, thinking I'm the man, just this out of control. I basically tumbled through those years of my life. And I ended up getting into recovery, and for me it was almost like a wild dog being invited to sit down at a tea party, right? That's how bad my life had become derailed at that point.
Right.
Completely homeless, shattered, living in the streets of Newark. You know, I tell my story often. I went from paying my mother's mortgage to stealing out of my mother's purse.
Right.
Right. You know, as far as physical, I was down to 130 pounds. With a severe opiate addiction. I was eating one bowl of, at the end of my my run, as we call it, I was eating 1 bowl of cereal a day, like once every 24 to 26 hours.
Mm.
And I considered it healthy if I cut up a banana and put that into the cereal.
Right.
So just completely depleted of spirit, mind, and body at
Right.
that point. I got into recovery. I was a little over 130 pounds.
When you say you got into recovery, you mean did you check into a rehab or?
I kind of that's what happened to me. That was my story. I was afforded the opportunity to go to a rehab, and then from there I hit the ground running. Started making anonymous meetings, and the people that I found at these meetings helped me piece my life together, step by step.
No, that's beautiful.
Yeah, completely on goodwill, and not knowing me from a can of paint. And it wasn't an easy process at all. You know,
Right.
when I got into recovery, like I said, I was like a caged dog that was asked to sit down at a tea party. You know, I did not know how to act. I was looking for a fight. If someone was trying to give me advice, I thought of that as being a rebuttal.
Right.
And testing
my devil's advocate.
Yeah, you know, like I'm asking for help, you're giving me advice. I don't like the advice you're giving me, therefore I'm thinking you're testing me.
Right.
Coming off the streets of Newark to an aggressive, living an aggressive lifestyle, now to be sit down and try to act appropriately, there's a huge disconnect there.
Right.
But what I want to talk about real fast is that I went from 130 pounds to 210 pounds in 6 months.
Shit. 6 months.
In 6 months.
You just started eating everything
So
in sight once you
everything,
got to get back.
exactly. So because I did not have the coping mechanisms to deal with life, you know, I often tell this story, like, you know, when I was new, like I'm a Mets fan, right? Like every time the Mets lose, I want to get high,
Right.
and they lose all the fucking time. So
Not recently, though.
I found myself in this situation with very poor coping skills. My body had just went through this extreme transformation from 130 pounds. You know, the first 20 pounds of weight was healthy, and now I'm looking replenished, and then the next was just poor coping mechanisms. I don't know how to deal with the situation. I'm rewarding myself instead of with drugs, with food now.
Right. You're just replacing one with the other.
Exactly.
Right. Which, to your point, though, like I don't think enough people understand food addiction, and that you know you may not think that you're actually hooked on foods, the sugar, the flour, all this stuff that's actually highly addictive on so many different levels. People don't realize that. So like you may have been doing that for a different reason, but nonetheless, it's still an addictive substance that
It's
you were
common. Yeah,
Right.
emotional eating is something that's real. You know?
Yeah, for sure. But also like the long-term effects of like I didn't understand how difficult it would be. Like when I first started TTS, and me and you had our coffee talk, and you like, Steph, I want you to cut out. You know, first off, all processed foods need to go. You know, sugar needs to go. You know, wheat, you know, but bread and stuff like that.
Flour, right?
Flour, you need to like eliminate that. And you were explaining to me the science behind it and how inflammation happens and everything like that. And I'm like, wow, this is all new information. And now I have experience with stopping things, obviously, right?
Right.
At this point, when me and you came across each other's paths, at this point, I have 3 years clean. I've learned how to build up the
Congrats, by the way, it's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just celebrated 4 years on August 3rd.
Oh
Awesome.
shit!
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank you. So I had prior experiences with learning how to stop certain behaviors and to how to have a shift in mindset. Not just a temporary shift, but have that real paradigm shift. Where it's one thing to say something, it's another thing to act upon, but it's a third thing, it's completely different to be coming from a place of.
Right.
Right? So how that translated to me coming here is like, it's one thing for me to say I'm going to work out and get in the best shape of my life. It's another thing to try to barrel through and wake up at 8 a.m. to be here at a 9 a.m. class. It's a third thing to say I want to be up at 8 a.m. I want to be training with Coach Ruben. I want the guidance of Chris because I believe in the people around me and I believe in the results that I'm getting and that I can be successful.
Right.
So that's where I'm finally, after coming, I'm getting to that. I'm at that place. I'm at that place where I believe that this is my new path. It's no longer forceful. But I want to say, we'll backtrack just real quick. So I got up to like 210 pounds, and you know, all coping mechanisms are like, you know, horrible at this point. Food, shopping, women. I never touched gambling.
Good.
Was a degenerate gambler,
Yeah.
so I didn't want to get into that. I've seen how that ruins people's lives.
Oh, for sure.
And the first year I had stopped my addiction. I learned how to basically be normal. My second year I became a father, so I learned how to save aggressively. right? So I stopped the poor spending habits. And then the third year, I stood up, and I took note around the room and in a meeting. And we have beautiful messages that people talk about, right? This is a spiritual, mental, and physical program. And I looked around the room, and I'm sitting around the room with people who have 30 years clean, but are, severe diabetes,
right.
Completely overweight, like over 30% body fat.
Yeah.
Right? And we also have another saying, like, lost dreams awaken, new possibilities arise. And I'm closing up to that gap where I'm going to be 30, and I'm looking at myself in the mirror, and I'm like, what am I doing? But I'm completely, have no idea where do I start?
Right.
So I signed up. I'd been driving past Driven Gym for a while, and I'm like, I got to get back in there. I got to get back in there. And I celebrated 3 years clean, and the next day I signed back up for Driven, and that's where we came to meet.
Yeah.
That's where our paths got aligned. Now I watched Chris for about 6 months. And at this time, I had, I was about 200 pounds. I just got down like 10 pounds, after a month of like training. And I signed up for a personal trainer at my fitness gym that I attend, a local gym. And it was a ridiculous amount. It was $1,200 for 24 private sessions, right? Ridiculous amount of money. It comes out to like almost $60 an hour.
Right.
Right? But here I am, I don't know where to turn.
Right.
And I'm like, well, F it. If I know one
thing. Good for you for making that decision too, because you could have put that money in a million other places, but that at least was an investment in yourself.
Yeah. So at that point, I'm like, I need to be all in if I'm gonna make this transition, right? I
love that.
So the gentleman who I was with, he helped me a lot. He helped me tremendously. I got down to about 160 pounds, and at this time, I believe you were doing your re-grand opening.
Yeah.
Right? I think that was
December.
Around
January. Yeah.
January, December.
Yeah, January
exactly.
when we actually had the grand opening.
So I was with this trainer, and he was up me starving myself, not eating correct. Right? This is all new to me, so all I think, if I eat in a deficit, I'll be okay. And,
right.
He's helping me build strength. This completely bullshit idea, these P90X commercials of what my life's going to be like in just 24 private sessions.
Yeah.
Right? And I see Chris at the gym, and he's freaking shredded, and I'm like, look at this fucking guy. And I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed. Like, if one thing recovery has taught me, of course, but if someone has what you want, you have to make it a point to go out and get it. Right? And Chris has that welcoming, big personality, really willing to help, but no bullshit type of help. Like, you know what I mean? Don't come. I didn't want to bring to him my questions if I wasn't ready to do something about it. Not that I don't think you would have sat and entertained it.
Right.
But I'm getting down in the weight. This guy helps me out. Blah 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 blah. Mind you, no prior lifting experience, right? He's doing his re-grand opening. I'm going to him. I'm running into him once a week, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna come down there. I'm gonna come down there. And he's like, okay, bud, we'll be happy to have you. Whenever you're ready. Whenever you're ready, we got you. But at this time, I had gotten down from, I'd lost like 40 pounds. But my body fat was still sitting at like 18%. I went from 30% to like 18%. But I was loose. I still had joint pains. And my coach is like, I don't want you lifting weight. And in the boxing and the Muay Thai world, they have this, they almost demonize weightlifting and strength training.
Right.
If they only knew how effective it can be.
Right.
So they think you're going to get swollen, blah, blah, blah. But I'm looking at myself, and I'm looking at all these other guys, Chris and some of the people I train with, they're shredded. They're low body fat, and their cardio's through the roof, and they're looking fresh after 5 rounds of crushing the pads.
I don't know if my cardio's through the roof.
All right, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit. Maybe I'm exaggerating. But he was doing much better than I was.
Yeah, maybe the first round. But.
And so I said to myself, all right, I could do 500 push-ups a day and maybe get fucking shredded, or I can go learn how to do it, like learn how to bench press.
Right.
So what would be better to do than to turn an area of my life where I have no control, basic or very little control, and no understanding on how to improve, right? And stop the bullshit YouTube videos, right? And stop looking for group deals and shit online and
coupons and
all that stuff. And when there's someone less than 5 miles away with the tools, with the knowledge, with the resources, with the availability to help you at a fair price, and this is not a pitch for TTS. It's not.
Shameless plug.
No, it's really not though. It's really not because it fits my budget, and I'm a lower middle class income budget. You know, single dad. Yeah, I had to curate my budget a little bit so that I can find time, find the resources to do this. But it's been well worth it. You know, so
can I say something? Sure. That's awesome what you did there, where you took time, you did the research yourself, you saw what was going on, you saw the way Chris presented himself, and you know, all right, well, this guy definitely carries himself well. And I know you were saying he demonized training, but I think you saw, you know, it's almost a generic thing in weight training, because they probably think with training, bench pressing and body parts.
There's an association with bodybuilding.
Yeah,
right?
so
exactly.
You just think of that, and you don't really relate that with Muay Thai, but you see how Chris is moving. He's moving well. He trains. He looks good. He has good muscle on him. And you made it, well, I'm trying to kind of get this word out, but you made it an investment to like say, all right, I'm going to talk to them, I'm going to do it. All right, and you did it, and that's it's a great job on you to at least try it. I mean, you did the other thing, but you knew there was something missing. And I think you being curious and asking questions and making that role, more power to you on that. It's an excellent job, because I think you've kind of felt that difference since you've been here, and the whole, because I mean, you're even here, man, you're curious, you're always asking questions, and then I'll say after about a month of asking those questions, before you know it, you became a veteran in about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It was kind of quick.
Sped up kind of quickly.
Yeah, but it was because you were asking questions, and I said it here too. Guys, if you have questions, feel free to ask. Ooh, let's do this.
Exactly.
Right on.
Can I just touch on that? I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but
No,
I want
fine.
to put this point in there before I forget, because I will. Shit, I just forgot. No. That you, most guys, right, most type A guys and, you know, people like yourself, they're not willing to ask for help.
Yeah.
Because they look at that as a sign of weakness. But actually asking for help, that's a sign of strength. That's a sign of confidence in yourself. Like, you were confident enough to come up to me and say, like, hey dude, like, what are you doing? Like, you going to the gym? Like, what's going on? Like, so that, just one question, or you just kind of asking for help or asking for advice, whatever, that led to something a lot bigger, and it led to a new path for you. So kudos to you for doing that, because that's something I think a lot of men especially hold themselves back from asking questions, asking for help. I could do it myself, I could do it myself. You really can't fucking do it yourself. Like, unless you're an expert in this, how do you expect to do it yourself? How many people actually do it themselves and are successful? Maybe at first, just to get the ball rolling, like you said, like you did it yourself because you were just like, I gotta do something. Yeah. So maybe you did it incorrectly, but then you said, all right, you know what, I gotta invest in a trainer. Boom, that was your first thing. But it took you asking for help, asking for advice, asking for guidance, that has now led to an unbelievable transformation. So from there, go ahead, just continue. I just wanted to throw that in.
Oh, no, thank you, I appreciate that. Like I said, at this point, I'm 160 pounds, and I'm still 160 pounds right now. The goal is, when I came here, was not to increase weight whatsoever. If anything, it was to more or less sculpt.
How long did it take you to get from 210 to 160?
The way I was doing, about 6 months almost.
6 months. I mean, that's fantastic.
Almost 6 months.
Yeah.
A little less than 6 months, but at this time I'm training Muay Thai, like excessive cardio. I'm not eating correctly. I'm literally eating, you know, raw broccoli and like 3 eggs, and just trying to like make the change.
You're at least taking a step towards the right path.
Yes, yeah, like,
so
you know, but all these stumbling blocks.
Conscious choice, but still, weight's coming off.
Yeah.
Right?
So, like I said, I've seen you in the gym and blah, 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 and people are like, nah, man, don't go there. You know, that's a lot of money, you know, or it's just, people will kind of try to deter you from what you want to do.
Right.
You know, they say stupid shit like, you just don't have enough self-confidence, you can do it on your own. Like you just saying, I don't know where the next move is, so how could I possibly do it on my own?
Yeah.
You can only watch so many Athlete X videos. You know what I mean? Like, and so
now you're loving Romanian deadlifts.
Yeah, right.
Shout out to Jeff Cavalier.
Yeah, right. So I came here, and a few things that resonated with me right away was, one, the camaraderie. That's almost like you guys like force it. Like, listen, you're a part of a team now. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, regardless, I hope you're not antisocial or introverted because it's not gonna fucking be it's not gonna be like that here because we're fist pounding and high fiving.
Right.
And as cliche and as corny as you may think it is, or may come across, it really helps foster and that motivating attitude in between sets. So that was one interesting thing. Two was when we sat for the seminar, and you constantly
the nutrition seminar.
The nutrition seminar. And even when I did my consultation and we went through the basic movements, what was reiterated by both of you were, if you have questions, ask. We want you to leave here knowing one more thing today that you didn't.
Right. Learn one thing. Right.
Just learn one thing.
Right.
If it's how to hinge better. If it's what is this movement? What is that? And so I came here with that type of attitude.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons that I felt comfortable coming. So it's been about 4 months now.
Since training here.
Yeah.
Right.
And my body's definitely, I'm starting to see the differences. You know, like I said, it wasn't to go up in weight, but it was more or less to sculpt and get down in body fat, but stay around the same weight, and that's what's happening.
But you have gotten stronger too.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Very significantly
For
too.
sure. It was like when I got down in the weight, the body was loose. You know, I was throwing punches and kicks. It was
when you say loose, like
yeah, I
it
felt
wasn't
like
stable.
Exactly, I had no control. Like I'd throw, and I felt like a noodle, like a wet noodle, throwing a kick or an arm, a leg. I'm like, this is my body. Like, how the fuck do I not have control over my body? Like, you know what I mean?
What's the difference now? Like, how do you feel when you're doing Muay Thai?
Just besides just how it translates to the power and confidence and strength. It's all around. It was coming here was one of the missing keys in my journey to wellness.
Oh wow.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
You know, because I had prior to coming here, I've already got, all right, we got this area of your life cleaned up. We've got this area of your life cleaned up. Okay, you're practicing Muay Thai because you're intrigued in martial arts. I also started practicing yoga regularly, you know, 2 to 3 times a week as one for flexibility, 2 as a spiritual means. And then it was like the last fucking missing link was like a serious, no bullshit strength and conditioning program with guidance from people who knew what they were doing. Right. And it's all kind of, you know, I'm not saying I got a perfect life here.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but like,
dude, you're headed towards an excellent direction.
It's all fucking come together to where it's about balance and being well-rounded.
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
I would say based on seeing, but based on seeing you here, your core strength has shown your stability has really improved.
Yeah.
And I know you always want to know movements, and I know sometimes you almost would get frustrated, like, why am I not getting it right? But you are. It's there. You just get to be patient with it. Then you would be patient, and then, you know, now, I mean, your strength game's gotten up, and I mean, I would assume that is transferring with your Muay Thai, with your speed and power and overall balance.
For sure.
But that's what I've seen here at the gym. Definitely your core stability and that strength, and you know, even just kind of going over your RDL, jumping from like, you know, hitting 85 on the barbell, right, to now 185, almost 200, and I think that's what you really love. That because it's been the biggest jump, and you look great doing it. I mean, it's really awesome seeing your improvement.
No, but that also comes from you giving me the confidence to know that it's time to go up to the next. Because I don't know what weight I should be throwing on there.
Right.
You know, and when you go, no, big dog, we're throwing that on there. Okay.
Right.
You know, you just see my last set. You believe that you believe that I had that last set clean? Well, then I trust your word that I should be able to control this.
Yeah.
You know, and that's another thing. Not wanting to get injured. You know, living the lifestyle that I was living for so long, I've taken plenty of bumps and bruises along the way. And that's another thing. My shoulder that I talked to you about. I had severe shoulder pain from a car accident that I had endured during active addiction. And I could not sleep on my right side for maybe 5 years. Like, and you know how annoying that is not to be able to, you can literally only sleep 2 ways, on your back or on your left now. So after maybe like 7-8 weeks of training, you know, and training to not injure myself, right? You know, I'm pumping it. It's like, whoa, that arm only wants to go 8. Well, then cut it there. It's about balance, right? Well, this arm can do 2 more. I don't care. Cut it there. That's it. We're trying to stabilize the body here. Now I'm able to, oh shit, I'm fucking up. The shoulder pain's gone. Why is that?
And you sleep on your side now.
Yeah, you know, because it's gotten stronger. It was a week.
That was just after 8 weeks of training?
Yeah, dude.
That's all.
It was a weak part of my body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I built it up, and, you know, along with stretching and yoga and Muay Thai, but
it's a combination of things, and this was one of the keys. And so you have such a beautiful story, man, the way you tell it too, like from where you've been to where you are now. And you know, I guess my question for you is that, you know, how much, like, fitness obviously played a huge role in this transformation, right? Like fitness, whether it was Muay Thai or yoga, it played a huge role. Before that, you didn't know how to cope. Like that was something that you mentioned. You didn't know how to cope, so you turned to food, right? Do you feel like fitness has helped with your coping skills for painful shit that happens in your life? And do you feel like maybe in some weird way it was able to kind of heal those wounds that you were actually trying to cope with food and drugs and girls and all that stuff?
It feels like that this was the natural path that was always there and that I refused to take. That clean eating, good sleep, a regimented workout program is things that we're told from a youth, and then I said, no, fuck that. I'm gonna go this way, and I'm gonna try to find all those things that you're offering me now. You know, peace and wellness and peace of mind and strength of body. I'll go figure it out this way. Right. And I had to come full circle and come back and say, no, you guys were right this whole time. So yeah, doing this has helped me in that area. You know what I'm saying? That makes sense. What I was trying to say. If that answers the question. You know,
it definitely does.
It feels like I didn't have the coping mechanisms, and when I started living like a fucking human being who takes care of themselves, it just re-solidified all of the coping mechanisms and spiritual principles that I try to practice.
Right.
It kind of just solidified it all.
Yeah, because what I always tell people, what we preach here is that, you know, fitness is the gateway to a life of change. Whatever that is, whatever you're trying to change, I feel like fitness, like the step one is deciding, all right, I want to fucking make a change. But fitness plays such a major role in the actual transformation. It's not just about the external, it's the stuff that you're actually tapping into internally. You know, the mind and just changing improving the health and the quality of your cells down to a cellular level, the food that you eat, your movement, all the shit that you're doing. Your life is just now enhancing in so many different ways. And you are a beautiful example of that, man. And I'm very happy for you, dude. And it actually gives me goosebumps. Like even from, like, I saw it in you at Muay Thai, and you were always asking questions. And like I said, you wanted to always, hey, like, what do you got going on there? And there's a lot of people that always will say, I'm gonna come to your gym, and I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I'm never gonna see this guy. Like, it happens all the time. But for you, I'm like, he actually might come through. We'll see what happens. And now look, you're here, and you're strong, and you're stronger, and you know, a father, and you know, all the stuff that you're doing. You work your ass off, working doubles all the time, and you know, doing all the stuff you need to do, not only for yourself but for your child, and just for just overall, like you're leading by a great example, man. And let me just ask you this to wrap this up: what? If somebody at home that's watching this right now, if you could give them one fucking piece of advice, whether they're struggling with drugs or alcohol or food or gambling or whatever they may be going through in their lives right now, and they're seeking some source of change, what would be your advice to them? What's step one?
Step one would definitely be being honest with yourself. Being honest with yourself, making that a mission to yourself that you don't have control over whatever specific area of your life it may be, right? All of the things that I've been able to overcome, learn how to be a good father, learn how to save aggressively, learn how to time manage. Everything it started with identifying the problem and being honest with self that I don't know what I'm doing in this area, and then asking for help. Yeah. That's plain and simple. When it came to stopping drugs, when it came to stop cheating on being a bad spouse, when it came to down to the fitness needs, right? It always started with a honest self-assessment that this is where I want to be, and this is where I am. Right. Right? I'm not this guy who I think I am, and I need to be honest with that. And then how do I get from here to here as fast as possible? Right. And that's with rigorous honesty, self-honesty, and then asking for help. Which is not an easy thing to do either. Yeah, but that's a great point. Like, being okay with saying, like, look, this is where I'm at, and I have to be honest with myself, and I have to really take a step back and look at my life as a whole, and look at this objectively and say, okay, what is it that I need to change
about myself? And if the answer is fucking everything, then all right, where do I begin? What's step one? Like, and then seeking out the people who could help you. Go to your meetings, right? Hire a trainer, whatever it is. Go to fucking yoga, whatever that thing is for you. But seeking help from other people and being aware, I think that's awesome.
It sounded like you wanted to make an attempt to surround yourself around the people that can only help you and bring positive vibes in your life. And it seemed that makes the change right there. You sought out for that, and you made the attempt and did it. So awesome shit.
Thank you.
Well, Steph, you've come a long way, dude, and it's amazing to see, and I'm really excited to see what the future holds for you, man, because I think there's a lot in this world out there for you, and you have a lot of potential to kind of to give back and help a lot of other people along the way. And hopefully today is a way that you could start the process, man.
Yeah, you're doing a great job leading by example. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you guys for all of your help.
Oh, you're welcome, man. It's a pleasure having you here, man.
Thank you, brother.
Well, guys, I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. If you have any questions for me, you could always reach out on Instagram. I am at Chris_Tutela, Tutela. And also, I almost forgot, check out the Iron Life podcast anywhere that podcasts are available. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes. Coach!
Guys, you guys can find me, ask me any questions on Instagram at @Ruben, RUBEN_Borges, BORGES. Ask away. Stefano, where can they find you if they need to ask you any questions?
At Batmaniac.
Yeah. Why are you a Batmaniac?
I grew up as a Batman fan, and just something that's kind of stuck.
Okay.
I haven't figured out something better.
Stick with it.
So you can just go with Stefano Siano.
Yeah, right? But yeah.
But now we like Batmaniac. Keep it like it.
Yeah. Anyways, if you ever have any questions or anything like that, you can find me at, that's my Instagram handle, and you can contact me through there.
Beautiful. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show. We will catch you next week on another episode of
TTS Talk.
Peace.